Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do something different. I've never seen anybody do this, and a lot of people have asked me this kind of question, like what's good at killing healers? I'm sure everybody's been asking like what can kill healers 1v1. So I just want to make this abundantly clear first. Against a good healer that knows what they're doing, it's pretty much impossible to kill them 1v1. Like it is. But you can still kill healers 1v1. I've done it a lot of the time, so on certain specs. But yeah, I just wanted to make that pretty clear. Against a really good healer that knows what they're doing, you're probably not going to be able to kill them no matter what. So but I just want to make that clear. So I am making a healer tier list. So specs that are really good against killing healers. I put this in different categories because I felt like it was better putting it that way. So the first category will be really good against healers. So they can. I've sold tons of healers on these specs, more than any of the other ones. So that'll be the first category. The second one will be they're not as good as the first category. They can still do it, but I would put them more as they can sometimes solo the healers, but they're better at disrupting as well. So they can do a mixture of both. So that's going to be that category. And instead of putting the category where they're just not good at soloing healers at all, I put the third category as a better at disrupting. So that'll be better at like CCing the healer and killing like a DPS or something. So that's where I'm going to be putting those. I felt like it would just be better to put that as the category than just couldn't do it at all. So yeah. First up, having Demon Hunter. I actually literally just made a video on this like not even that long ago, and I shredded healers like they were paper. So I'm putting this in the good against healers category. I would put them really good at it. They have a moral strike. They got some stuns. Their damage is really strong at the moment. The only thing that sucks is their survivability. And you can also get meta up pretty quickly because I-Beam comes up really quickly this patch. So you can do really well against healers at the moment. And that's the reason why I'm putting them in the first category. They're really strong against healers at the moment. So I'm putting them in the first category. Like I said, I made a video on this the other day, and I was surprised at how strong I was against healers and just absolutely shredding them. So I'm putting this in the first category. As a Boomkin player, I'm putting this in the better at disrupting category. They don't have a mortal strike, and sure their burst is really strong, and maybe if you get a berserker or an assault water potion, you could probably absolutely nuke a healer. But I would put them better at disrupting. You're better off just cycloning and root beaming healers and killing a DPS, in my opinion. So they're better at disrupting, and I say this as a Boomkin player, and that's my case for making it a category, as you only really do damage during incarnation, and I don't think it's enough to kill a healer personally. So putting this in the disrupting category for that reason. Up next is Feral. I've actually been really surprised at how well I've been doing versus healers on my Feral. Feral's damage is really strong. We also have a Moral Strike. You can also CC if absolutely necessary, even if you can't kill healer. So I guess I could technically put this in the second choice, but I still think the only healer you'll probably struggle against the most is a Preservation Evoker that just like gets rid of your bleeds. But overall, I've been actually really surprised at how good I've been melting healers, to be honest. So I'm ranking Feral the highest. Plus, if you do run Convoke build, you could probably even nuke a person in a maim Convoke as well. So Feral is really good against healers, in my opinion, and that's the reason why I'm putting it in the first category. Up next is Devastation. I'm putting this in the second category. It's kind of similar to Boomkin a little bit. The only difference is that, in my opinion, Devastation has better consistent damage than Boomkin, so you can probably get just kill healers eventually if you don't get them in your burst. And they're I would put them better as like kind of like a marksman caster, just because they don't really have much in the ways to disrupting healers. So I would put them in the middle category, as they're just more like a damage bot in my opinion. Because Sleepwalk, people just keep constantly breaking it anyways. But yeah, you could probably kill a healer eventually on your Devastation Evoker. I play Devastation a lot. I wouldn't put them as super amazing against healers like you would with Demon Hunter and Feral. But they're not too bad. You'll probably get them eventually. and that's the reason why I'm putting them in the middle category. Beast Mastery Hunter, I would put them in the second category. They have decent, consistent, and decent burst damage, and they do have a mortal strike with their pets. They can do some disruption if necessary with their traps. They do have Chimera Sting and a Pet Stun, so they can do pretty well against healers. Not enough to make me say they're really, really strong against healers, but if there's any Hunter spec that I would say probably does the best against a healer, it would probably be Beastmaster in my opinion. So that's the reason why I'm putting this in the second category. For similar reasons with Beastmastery, I think they're the second best Hunter spec to deal with healers. I don't think it's strong enough to solo a healer personally, but they're you can maybe catch them off guard and maybe get a kill with one of them. Sometimes I've seen some survival hunters do it, but for the most part, I think they're good enough to put in the second category where they can maybe kind of do it, but they're better at disrupting, in my opinion. So you can make a case for survival in the third category or the second one. I'll leave that up to you guys, but this is my personal opinion. I'm putting them in the second category because I think they're decent enough to sometimes get a healer kill, but they're, in my opinion, they're probably better at disrupting. So up next is Marksman. I think is the weakest out of the three hunter specs. Ironic, I know, how considering how they are at the moment, but for killing healers, I would put them as they're better at disrupting. I think if you catch them off guard with a two double taps, you can probably kill a healer. But if you don't, they'll just out heal you. And some healers can fight back, and they can probably kill you in a 1v1. So that's the reason why I'm putting them as a better disrupting category. So they're just better with like ceasing with a stun, a Chimera Sting, and getting a group with a kill, in my opinion. Or maybe helping a group kill a healer. So I think Marksman's better at disrupting. Up next is Arcane Mage. I actually think this goes in the decent but not amazing category. I don't play Arcane myself, so this is going based off the ones I've been facing. I think Arcane has some really, really amazing, consistent and burst damage. At least, like I said, based off what I'm been facing, and I think they could actually do it. I think they could probably kill healers 1v1s. So I'm putting them in the second category. The only reason why I'm putting this in the second category is because Fire has huge bursts. I watch Foamy do this all the time. She just solos everybody like it's nothing, even healers. So, and I played it recently as well, and Fire's damage is actually pretty dang amazing. So I think Fire can actually, even without a Mortal Strike, can solo healers. I've seen Fire mages do it quite often. So, but yeah, obviously I'm still a little bit Fire noobish, but when I see it all the time, I think this goes in the good against healers category. So Fire's got some really crazy damage, but that's the reason why I'm putting Arcane in the second, because I don't think it's as strong with the burst as Fire, but I still think it's doable for Arcane. So that's my reasoning. For Frost Mage, I am putting this in the better at disrupting category. It's not like it's got some burst damage, but it's not as strong as Arcane and Fire in my opinion. So I feel like Frost is better at disrupting, where you can just ice wall healers off and polymorph them, and then your team can solo the rest of the team in middle or something. Like Eye of the Storm is a good example, where you would just ice wall them off and just solo the rest of the team. So they're better at disrupting, in my opinion, especially with the constant slows, where you can just annoy a healer the whole entire time, where they can't just catch up with somebody or something. So that's the reason why I'm putting Frost Mage at better at disrupting. So up next is Windwalker Monk. I'm putting this at good against healers category. Windwalker is very strong in the damage department at the moment. I've been playing Windwalker a lot, and I think they're actually pretty good at killing healers. I cannot tell you how many times I've just shredded healers like they're made out of paper. So between like Celestial Conduit, Slicing Winds, all those Slicing Winds did just get nerfed. But I imagine they'll still be pretty good at killing healers, and they're one of the stronger ones killing healers, in my opinion, at the moment. And like I said, they have a Moral Strike as well. You could probably even kill them as stun with like how much strong their damage is at the moment. So I'm putting them very good against healers at the moment. Up next is Ret. This is better at disrupting, as Ret is pretty much the ultimate support spec. So Ret is pretty much just, I'm putting this in the disrupting. They're good at like repentancing a healer and then stunning it, so you can just get some kills with your teammates on a DPS or something. Ret's better off at supporting their team than trying to kill a healer 1v1 in my opinion. So that's just from what my experience of playing Ret lately. So I would put them in better disrupting category. Up next is Shadow Priest. This is probably one of the best healer killing specs in the game. I cannot tell you how many. I don't even play my Shadow Priest a whole lot. Well, actually, that's a lot. I have been playing it a lot more lately. But if there's any spec that I've probably killed more healers on than any other class in the game, it would probably be Shadow Priest. If you want to destroy healers, Shadow Priest will be for you. Siphene is one of the best mortal strikes in the game. You have a ton of utility with mind control, silence, fear, stun, and your damage is actually really strong with Void Torrent Burst at the moment. So I've destroyed more healers on my priest than probably any other spec in the game at the moment. So if you want something that can kill healers the most, it would probably be Shadow Priest. So I'm putting them in that category. Assassin Rogue. I play Assassin Rogue a lot, and Assassin does pretty well against healers. It's similar to Pharaoh. The only healers you'll probably have the hardest time with is probably Holy Pally and Preservation Evoker, and the reason why that is because Bubble and also Preservation can remove your bleeds. But every other healer I've been doing surprisingly well against. I've even surprisingly done well against Discipline Priest. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, I've done surprisingly well against them. So, yeah, Assassin does pretty well. If he also faces a Dwarf, you'll have a hard time, so just as a quick heads up. So any healer that plays a Dwarf will be a problem as well. But, yeah, outside of that, I still think Assassin does pretty well against healers. I've been kind of surprised at how well I do versus them, so I put them in a good against healers category. Outlaw Rogue, better at disrupting. I don't think their damage is as good against healers. So that's the reason why I'm putting them in the better at disrupting category. I think they're better off at just harassing healers, which is what rogues are pretty much good for. So I'm putting them in the better disrupting category because I just don't think they're as good with as sub and assassin for damage against healers. So they're better at just disrupting targets. And then that leaves sub. You could probably make a case for it in the first row if you can get a trinket out of the healers and you can just wait out their cooldowns and maybe kill them in a stun. But I'm not entirely sure. I mean, especially against a Holy Pally, that might be impossible against them. You could probably do it against like Mistweavers and Preservation Evokers because those classes are weaker against stuns. Although technically, Preservation can use Emerald Communion in a stun, so I'm just going to leave them in the second category because that's my personal opinion. I think they can kill healers 1v1. It just depends on a few things. If nothing else, they're also really good at disrupting. So that's why I'm putting them in the second category. For both Shaman specs, I am putting them at the disrupting category. I think they're both similar. Ellie doesn't, in my opinion, is not really that great at the moment, my personal opinion. And I just don't think their damage is really good enough to kill a healer in a 1v1. So I'm putting them both at the better at disrupting category. I think Enhance would probably have a better chance than Elliot killing them 1v1, but I also don't think Enhance is strong enough to 1v1 healers. So that's why I am putting them in the better disrupting categories. They're better off hexing and interrupting all that stuff and killing a DPS like the rest of these in this category. Up next is Affliction, and it's similar to Shadow Priest, where if there's any spec in the game that is really strong against healers, it's definitely Affliction, because you can just fully route them up, and if they decide to dispel themselves, they will take most of their health in Backlash. So they also have a really strong CC, so you can just kill them and watch them slowly rot themselves down. So even if you don't kill them right away, you'll eventually pretty much wither them down. So that's the reason why I am putting Affliction in the first category. And they're also really strong this season, especially once they get their 4 set. So I'm putting Affliction at the top because Affliction and Shadow Priest are hands down the 2 best healer killing classes in the game. So if you want to kill a healer, play Shadow Priest or Affliction. Demonology, I would put this as the disruptor. It takes a lot of ramp up time for their damage. And I think healers just don't have a lot of a hard time against Demolocks personally. I think they're just better off CCing them with their Felguard stuns and all the rest of their CC with like Shadow's Fury, Fear, and Mortal Coil and all that. So I feel like they're better in the disruption category, similar to Shaman. So I'm putting them in the better disrupting category for that reason. For Destro, You could make a case for this in the first row. I've shown destruction damage, how really insane it is this entire time. But I'm going to put this in the decent but not amazing category. The reason why is because Affliction is stronger against healers in general than Destro is. But Destro can solo healers. They can. I've done it tons of times. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking. I've done it tons of times. And they're really good at disrupting as well. So, with all their CC. So, you can make a case for it in the first row. Let me know in the comment section down below. But I'm going to leave this in the second category because they can do both. They can solo healers as well as disrupt. But in my opinion, Affliction is way stronger. Up next is Arms Warrior. I'm putting this in the decent but not amazing category. You're probably wondering why I don't put this in the first category. You know what? I'll put it in the first category, but I think I don't know like how to phrase this. Arms is obviously really good against healers, so you know what? I'll leave this in the good against healers category. But the reason why I was kind of hesitant is because, in my opinion, Fury is better than Arms in a 1v1 setting against healers, and the reason why that is because of Death Wish. Death Wish is the most insane burst in the game. I think there's no other class that can do way better burst than a Fury Warrior with Death Wish. As somebody that's seen it a million times by now and has played it personally, Death Wish can just the amount of Fury Warriors I see in Battlegrounds that just solo entire raids is crazy with Death Wish. It's insane. So that's why I think Fury is way better than Arms. But you know what? Arms is still pretty good against healers regardless, as I feel like that's kind of like their thing. So I'll leave this in the good against healers category. But in my opinion, I'd probably put this in the second category. But I'll leave this in the first category. Regardless, that's my opinion on Fury Warrior and Arms Warrior at the moment. Up next is Frost DK. I've actually been starting to play Frost DK again. I would say they're pretty good at killing healers, but they're not as good as the top row. So I'm putting this in the second category. And they're also really good at disrupting with their CC. So I've killed healers by myself a few times on my Frost DK since playing it again. And yeah, that's my reasoning why I'm putting it in the second category. And then last but not least is Unholy DK. It's not got as good damage in my opinion as Frost DK at the moment. It's kind of similar to Demo, where I feel like it's kind of like just ramp up time and more consistent. So I'm leaving it in the better at disrupting category. So anyways, guys, this is my choices. Let me know in the comment section whether you agree or disagree with some of my choices. I'd be curious to know what you guys think. But this is just from me playing most of these specs. There's a few on here I don't play, but after facing them a lot and seeing what they can do all the time, this is just my opinion on the where we're at. So let me know what you guys think. See you guys later.